Welcome to Yeukai Business Show, UK's premier business show where we feature business thought leaders, high achievers, and industry experts. Today's episode is brought to you by World Outsourcing Solutions Limited, a company that specializes in helping executive business owners with virtual assistant services and business growth systems. Here's your host.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. It's Trevor here. And if you're tired and not getting the business results that you want in an environment of constant change, you've come to the right place today. Because with me on the episode, we've got two guests. Yep, it's quite unusual we have two people together, but it's really good. They're a husband and wife team. They're global award-winning entrepreneurial leadership experts. They're international keynote speakers. And they're also musicians, having performed in 43 countries. They're authors of the book 31 Cents to 43 Countries, Hardcore Tips for Increasing Profits. So we'll dive into a bit about the book shortly. But let's welcome to the show Dr. Dina and husband Don Ortiz. Welcome.
Hey, Trevor.
Hey, Trevor. How you doing? And welcome, everybody. How's it going out there?
Yeah, a big shout out to all your wonderful listeners. Thank you for joining us this evening.
It's great to have the opportunity to chat with you. So you've had a very kind of illustrious career up to this point, traveling to all those different places. You're musicians, you've worked with the armed forces as well. Lots of different kind of details that you could share with us from your background, but give us a taste of your sort of journey from where you began to kind of where you are now and how you've kind of come to the place where you can help business owners.
Well, I think for us, the main point that we want to get across is that we really, as musicians, as professional musicians, I actually started as a street musician, busking in front of a fisherman's, believe it or not, in San Francisco when I would go out and busk in between my college classes. And so I literally made my money from the money people threw into my guitar case. From there, I really used my talent. I made sure that I evolved my talent and made it the best that I possibly was able to. And as I evolved through talent mastery and education, I was able to move on and form my own band. I then hired my husband to play lead guitar for me in a road band. We were picked up from an agent out of Minnesota. And then from there, we went on the road, and we actually have led a very wonderful and interesting life. We've worked for, of course, the armed forces here in the U.S., but we've also worked for the U.S. State Department as ambassadors of goodwill, both as lecturers, keynote speakers on entrepreneurship, and also as musicians and with our band, the Dina Band. We've been doing that now for 31 years, and we've had a wonderful experience and have a successful corporation, entertainment company now, a successful corporation, and I'm now a professor in business, and I teach business, and small business ownership and entrepreneurship is my specialty. So that is our story in about 2 seconds flat.
And Trevor, the biggest part is we actually did start with 31 cents. That's why the book is actually titled 31 Cents to 43 Countries. Between the two of us, in fact, when we first met, when we finally got to the last toll road, I had actually gotten a hefty fine in Pennsylvania as we were driving across the states. And I literally had 31 cents, and the last toll roll was 50 cents. So when we showed up at my father's place, we had 31 cents between the two of us. So, that's why our story is unique. It's real. We're just two ordinary people who've been able to do extraordinary things, and having that belief and perseverance to work hard and focus and make our relationships long lasting with those that we've met along the way.
And taking our skills and making them better and improving them all along the way. I still go to school. I still take classes. In fact, I just took a data analytics class at MIT last spring and learned so much, right? Because in business, it's all about technology and how technology, how you can make technology work for you to improve efficiency and being effective.
Yeah, definitely.
The learning never stops.
Yes, yeah. Would you say that's kind of the key ingredient, if you like, with being able to like navigating the sort of shifting sands of where we are, particularly at the moment as business owners in the world we're in through COVID, through different issues and things we've had that are kind of maybe above and beyond the normal challenges. Would you say that's kind of the key ingredient?
I would say that definitely is one of the key ingredients. with the education that you're learning, whether it's through school, whether it's through YouTube videos, whether it's listening to a show like Yeukai's business show and Trevor yourself as a host, absolutely. You take your regular experience, right, your everyday experience, and you marry it with all these new theories and applications, and you set a new road path. It's like, going into the sun and something goes ta-da, and a light bulb goes off, and you're like, okay, I know how to make this work. So absolutely, it's an important tool, and I would say a bag of tools that you need to use. So absolutely.
Yeah.
And that helps you pivot and turn, right? It gives you new ideas. It helps you create. Innovation is so important as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur. It's our innovations that will actually help us get through challenging times like COVID. And this is not our first challenging time. We've gone through the recession. And of course, if you read our book, you know that we've been lost in Afghanistan, actually sent to Afghanistan in the middle of a war with no escorts, civilian musicians going into an active military theater. So we learned pretty quickly how to pivot and turn.
And make it successful. That's the biggest part.
Well done. Yes, because that's kind of the happy ending almost, isn't it?
Sure.
Going through the trials.
Always pulling your hair out and feeling like you pulled your lip over your forehead type feeling. That being able to persevere, get through it, make it successful, and even more is making that a long-term relationship so those contracts continue.
I think it's been passion that has helped us. So as musicians, we're passionate about what we do. We would do it anyways. And so as small business owners, if you can find your passion and your purpose and then evolve it through talent mastery, that will really help you become more focused and help, as Don shared with you, get through those challenging times and get you, when you make a mistake, and we've made plenty, you get yourself back up again, you learn from it, you brush yourself off, you get the tools to improve, and you continue to move on.
Yeah. Passion. You're right. Passion is huge, isn't it? What would you say maybe to some of the people that are listening that started off with passion, and whether they've got weary, whether they've just had so many challenges they don't really know, what to do next? But how can we kind of either rekindle or rediscover the passion? What would be the right sort of approach from a perspective with regards to our minds and how we discover?
So one of the things that we do, Trevor, is that when we run into challenges is that we actually outline what's going on, and we make sure by outlining that we stay focused. The outline helps us stay focused. It helps us stay on task. It helps us set and model tools or create tools for our intentions, so that we're not only solving problems, we're also attracting positive outcomes, because we think that's really important. If you are able to create that outline, and you're able to create ways to solve problems or issues, you do become positive, right? Because now you've got a roadmap. And even if you experience challenges along that roadmap, you can solve them, and then you know what you're going to be doing down the road. So I think being purposeful, concentrated skill and effort, and then outlining the roles to stay focused will help you solve that problem. The other thing that we do is we actually when we look at the whole picture, is we break it into parts. And we see how those parts interact with each other, so that we can solve those issues part at a time. It's not so overwhelming if you're looking at the whole issue. When you looked at COVID, we lost our business immediately, right? We're live entertainers. That's what we do. I think within 2 days, we lost something like 30 gigs. That's a huge amount of money for the year. Yeah. So Don and I had to sit down very quickly when we saw the cancellations happening, cancellation after cancellation after cancellation. We had to sit down and figure out, okay, what are we going to do? What products and services can we offer to our clients, right? Or even to a new set of clients that will bring money into the organization. And luckily, we scheduled out 3 to 5 years. We had our book in the works. We didn't plan to release it as soon as we did, but we had our books in the works, and we knew we also had a strategy to go out and start doing keynote speaking above and beyond what we were doing for the
And at the same time, we had an album just being released. We had just actually finished the very last mix in February. So, and the album also coincides with the book, because we actually wrote the songs to go on certain tours that we were on, and we would present those to other recording artists and schools and different master school events that we would do across the world. And then in return, they would also teach us their music and their thoughts and their side of it. So we learned so much from it. And so to have a book and the music coincide that it was time. We just pushed it up.
And so that's great. We've had a whole year to focus on these new elements that probably, live music, performing, getting ready, doing the contract, that's all takes time. We probably would not have been able to focus as much attention on those new elements of our product line and service as we've been able to do. So we actually made a win out of this very difficult time for live entertainers.
Yeah.
Well done. Yes, definitely. I think the resilient side of it is or should be at some point one of the sort of DNA aspects that business owners develop. I think it's part of the journey, isn't it? The things that you're trying something new, probably. If it's a service that somebody else is offering, you're still kind of offering it with your flavor, with your insight, with your experience. So that's kind of unique, or I think it should be. We don't really need any clones out there. I don't think clones help people necessarily. I think it's the unique aspect of our lives, isn't it? That as we find a way of sharing that, other people relate to it. Certain people, not everybody, but certain people, and that's how you you build a tribe, if you like. You have people gravitate towards you because they understand that they need to hear what you're hearing, or you're 2, 3, 10 steps ahead of them. So it's like, yep, smart people follow smart people that are successful. So it's kind of like they can follow what you're doing and learn and navigate kind of around the things that would have maybe tripped them up without listening to you. So I think that's really key. The fact that you've been able to adapt, and you're kind of open as well, as you say, you're upskilling in a sense within your musicianship by listening to other people and getting inputs and that. I think it can be so easy to just be so close-minded that this is what I do. I just need to find the right people to buy or to invest or whatever it is. And what I think I'm hearing you saying is more, you're keeping a slightly more open-minded approach than that, so that you can adapt and develop and grow. I think that's part of it, isn't it? Personal growth, I think, is huge in anybody's life, if we really follow.
Right. It's actually the personal growth and the talent mastery that gives you your competitive advantage over your competitors, right? Because it's so unique to you. And if you can develop that, as I've shared through education or through training or learning, that will give you your advantage that you need. So people want to come to you as opposed to your competition. Or you might meet the need of a target audience better in whatever way that is. If you understand your audience, you'll know how to do that better than your competition. And so, yeah, absolutely. And from an entrepreneurial standpoint, we generally don't have a ton of money to work with. We're not large corporations that have millions of dollars to go out and promote what we're doing. So it's really our own skill set and the skill set of our own employees that will give us our competitive advantage. We just have to learn how to take advantage of that. Yeah. The other thing we learned early on in our business is that you have to stay on top of growth and trends. And early on in our business, we actually had a very lucrative contract with a well-known hotel chain providing entertainment for corporate events for them. And we were with them probably about 10 years, and we had no idea that they were going to close this property. And as a result of that, like overnight, literally overnight, we lost this huge amount of money that was coming into the business. We really should have been more on top of that and more aware.
And expanded.
And expanding all the time, not relying on that one base or that one source to fund our profits. And so at that point, way back early enough, I think we've been in business about 10 or 15 years. We've been in business now 31, so for us, that's a long time ago. But we learned to stay on top of the trends. So this time, when we got hit with COVID and even with the recession, we were already ahead of the game by 2 or 3 years. We already had a product line in place so that if something were to happen, we're not depending on just one particular product line service. You should always be developing, again, based on your talent mastery and the skill set of yourselves as entrepreneurs and your employees, because you come together as a team, right? Yeah. And facilitate those services and those products.
Yeah, and then we also had to learn new ways to drill new clients, so people get comfortable, as Dina was saying. You can get really comfortable, but if you're not opening new lines of ways to do income, to get your word out there, you start closing yourself off and you become too comfortable. And then when something drastic does happen,
and it will, it always does.
Always does.
It's business cycle.
Exactly.
It's up and down, up and down, up. And there's things we can't control. We can't control the economy. We can't
Or COVID.
control healthcare issues that come through, right? We can't control laws if you're doing global business, legal barriers and political barriers, right?
Yeah.
So you've always got to be aware of what's going on in your external environment.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
really important.
I think once we realize that the only real control we have is over our own growth, then I think that empowers us to then, stay open to navigate the different challenges that will come. I like what you said. Yeah, it will come. It's like, yeah, it's
It's
just
coming.
inevitable, isn't it? Yeah.
Don't wait for
But
it.
here's the thing, think of it as something positive. So when we've had even getting lost in Afghanistan, we've even gotten lost in Singapore. They've actually, our clients have sent us to the wrong country and we had no visas to enter. That might have looked like a challenge, and believe me, at the time it was a challenge, but because of the way that we handled it, our clients went, wow, we can't believe you maneuvered through this. That set us on a course for a 15-year relationship and dozens of other opportunities to go in and perform in other countries. So even though it's a challenge, it's the way that you handle it and your outcome that can actually open up brand new distribution channels for you to promote your product lines or promote your services. And we've learned that over and over again.
We had a client that was so, they saw that we travel so much. When there was an opportunity, they had a client that was going to Russia. And we ended up, being the entertainment.
That they took with them.
They took us as the entertainment because they knew we were turnkey. We were easy travelers. We had been doing it a long time. We understood the protocol and etiquettes that go with that to represent and then go there and make it a home run. But we've also learned how to over-deliver. So that has been the biggest thing and advantage for us is that we have learned to over-deliver. So they are just unbelievably so happy with our product that they're like, man, we need to bring them back.
I cannot stress how important customer service is for small businesses. And sometimes we get so overwhelmed that we forget and we drop the ball. But especially in today's social media where information travels so quickly, one bad review can really affect your brand, how people perceive you. So it's always important to over deliver, not just in terms of the value of the product and the service you're delivering, but before, during, and after you meet with a client. And that's going to be different for various products and services, but always over deliver and make sure you're giving top-notch customer service.
It's true.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm very intrigued to talk to you about some kind of networking strategies, if that's the right word, based from what you've learned in Russia. Just before we get into that, no, let's go there first. Because in case we run out of time, I don't want to miss that. So I like the way I need to pronounce this properly for everyone listening, but how to get your ask in gear to make new connections and platforms.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the time right now to get your asking gear. Think about it. We're in a pandemic time. Everybody's at home. Right now, you can actually reach a CEO or a VP or somebody of importance to a company that you want to negotiate a deal or bring an idea to or do business with. But you got to be prepared if that person's going to actually answer you. You better be ready when that happens. That's the biggest part because then you've got your asking gear. Are you ready when they come to you? You need to be prepared.
You might have a small window.
And that's your one shot. And right now, those type of things that are actually happening right now, and we're proof of that.
Do your elevator pitch. Make sure you have your 30-second elevator pitch because you might get a CEO, but you're going to have a very short amount of time to grab their attention where they go, oh, that's interesting. Yes, or I'm going to put you in touch with somebody on my team that can work with you. So very, very important. Networking, there you can go directly with the client, you can go to the corporation, you can go through associations. We're big with associations. There's all kinds of networking.
Right. For instance, in the Yeukai, you have Meeting Professionals International. There's branches all over in Europe and in at least in our meeting and events industry, and that includes suppliers, hotel chains, different distribution chains that people can connect with.
It's one of the challenges with being a small business owner. Not all of us enjoy sales. I mean, Don has a personality where he's going to get out there and he enjoys sales and he enjoys meeting people. Not all of us are like that, but it doesn't matter. the heart of a small business is being able to sell your product. So if you don't know how to do that, take a couple of courses in sales. Take a course on how to pitch, how to do a 1-minute pitch. So that if you see an opportunity in an elevator, which I did once, I saw an opportunity and I knew that I had to get that pitch out there pretty quickly. I was able to do it and actually got us a contact. So again, sales is very important. Don't be afraid of no. No is common. No is your next step to a yes. You're going to get a lot of no's. All it means is we might not be in the buying cycle. Your product might not be the right fit for us right now, but if you do it correctly, they might be able to recommend you to a client or a colleague that could use your services or business. It's all in how you present yourself and all in how you present your business and product lines.
And Dina's right. No means next opportunity.
Absolutely.
And you got to see it like that, especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're your own business person. And because you see it like that, they might present you another opportunity with somebody they think might be a good fit for you or them.
We're musicians and professional entertainers. Not everybody likes our music. We're trained, we've been trained, but music and art is very subjective, right? So we've learned it's okay for people not to like our music, not to like our art, for us to tell no, that just means it's not the right product or service or right fit for them. But it certainly might be for somebody else. So just don't take it personally. You just have to make sure that you're at the right, you're at the right audience, your customer base is the right customer base for your product or service.
Yeah.
And that you're meeting a need and a want in a society where they can find value from what you're delivering.
Yeah, right now we're finding that a lot of companies are streamlining what they're putting out there. They're finding what is their perfect niche that can create an ROI right now. Not their broad band of products, what really brings in the money on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And you might need to do that with your business.
And look for those unique niches. So most people, when they think of us as musicians, they're like, you're not famous. How did you get to 42 countries? Well, because we thought about our distribution channels. We went to corporations as opposed to selling tickets, right? How many people do you know as musicians can actually make a living selling tickets? Very few. That's a very difficult road to hoe. But if you're a professional musician and you can get a corporation to buy your services, or you can get a government entity to buy your services, that changes the whole ballgame. It was all about distribution and moving our products and our services through a different distribution chain.
Yeah, and then we've had people that we've met in that distribution chain when they've changed and gone someplace, they've taken us with them. We met a person in Azerbaijan, of all places, and took us to Budapest, and then proceeded to take us to Fiji and Kiribati.
We met somebody in Saudi that brought us out to Saudi twice. And when they moved to Belgium, they took us to Belgium. When they went to South Korea, they took us to South Korea. They took us to Honduras and Central America when they moved down to Central America. So again, musicians, all about for us, it was finding those unique distribution chains.
And providing a great quality product. I mean, that's the bottom line. Nobody's going to risk flying you anywhere if you're not producing a great product.
Or if you're just simply promoting a product or service, if it's not great, there's just too many choices out there that your customers can choose from.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. That's one of the biggest challenges, isn't it? It's like, I'm sure some of the people listening, either right now or have recently gone through the frustration of, I know what I can offer can help people, but how do I reach the niche? How do I have those conversations?
Right.
I think it's key what you shared, like have the kind of 90-second elevator pitch, have a 60-second kind of little bit more intro, and just have a couple of, depending how much time you've got, just have a few short, this is me, this is what I do, this is how I can help kind of scenarios. Because like you said, no doesn't mean never. It just might mean no now.
Right.
No, I know somebody, something like that. And I think if we can master connecting with somebody, if we have 90 seconds, if we have 2 minutes, rather than approach it from I need to get everything about me in that will possibly lead to a sale. It's just be who you are, isn't it? Have the element that you do have something to offer, but it's that first connection, isn't it? I think if people relate to you first,
yes,
then they'll be authentic.
Yeah, everybody has a story.
Keyword is be authentic, be who you are. But for some, it's difficult, and speaking is difficult. So I always encourage you, if you don't have natural talent for it, by all means practice, because practice makes perfect. You
Yeah.
do it 10 times. I read somewhere that if you do something 10 times, you will always remember it. Well, that's what happened to me in the elevator. I had knew my pitch so well that I was able to get out in 30 seconds, right? I have a different personality than Don. So it worked. I took advantage of the situation and it worked well. I was able to connect. But being authentic is very important.
Yeah. And I've even been put on the spot where I was actually helping a client put together an event. And the last second, the president, who was supposed to be announcing the guest and a list of people, decided that he couldn't do it.
Didn't want to do it.
I'm just too nervous. And I became the spokesperson instantly. So it was, those kind of things happen. And I was able to step up to the plate and make sure it happened and make sure that event went all successful, to the point that client called us for about 5 or 6 years to do their events. And basically I was their spokesperson.
And if that wasn't his job, that's not what we were hired to do. But again, he over-delivered, right? He saw an opportunity. He wanted to make sure that he solved the problem for the client. And he went in and said, sure, whatever I can do to help. He took care of it, and they kept hiring us back as a result of that. So.
Perfect. Well done. That's really good. It's very inspiring listening to you two. It really is. Thank you for what you're sharing. You did mention you learned some things about Russian culture, or the way they approach connecting, and that if it's not been covered for what you've shared already, what would be some of the tips that you've picked up that we could learn?
So one of the things we noticed when we went to Russia is that it's all about, in the U.S. here, we pretty much give you our best business card. We tell you what we're going to do. If you like it, we'll shake on it and we're doing business. It's not like that in most parts of the world. In most parts of the world, you need to develop that relationship first, and that can take a long time. And that's one of the things that we learned as observers when we went to Russia with our client and their counterpart in Russia. And one of the things that Russians did so effectively is that they hosted from the time they picked us up, and we were taken along as an entourage as part of cultural exchange and music exchange to help with the business negotiations. So the whole group, the whole entourage, the American side, were being wined and dined from the minute they picked us up until late in the night when we were actually doing our performances. And what I've noticed is that the Russians made sure that there was plenty of food, there was plenty of drink. But they never drank during the event, or if they did, they drank very little. They ate very little. By the time the whole event was over with at midnight and they were ready to negotiate with the American lawyers were exhausted. They'd been going all day long. The Russians were ready to go. They're like, okay, we want to negotiate now. So it obviously was to their advantage. So I always say when you go into a networking situation in a dining or a place where you're going to be socializing, by all means, socialize, have a good time, be authentic, but make sure that you also realize that down the road, you haven't even started the negotiations yet. You need to be aware. You need to be on top of your game. You need to make sure that you are
representing yourself
in the best possible light. And whining and dining and the way you hold yourself and the way you present yourself during those periods is very important.
You're being observed. Even if you don't think you're not, they are observing it.
And if they think that you're weak at any moment in time, they're going to take advantage of that negotiation.
And we've had that happen in many places that we've been to across the world. You're being under the scope for 24/7 until from the time you get there, from the time you leave. You're representing your company, your brand, or whom you're representing with, and you got to remember all that.
So oftentimes, if you're going into a situation like that, you can ask for a schedule. You can also ask to negotiate, what is a good time for you? Probably midnight for us, especially given that we'd only arrived 24 hours before that. It was probably not good for us in terms of the time change. It would have been okay to ask for the schedule up front and probably say, let's do this at 7 a.m, or let's do this at 6 a.m. We need to get some sleep. And we've even done that with our own entertainment, with our own band. And you can therefore negotiate something that's going to work for both sides.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah.
It's like we were talking about earlier. Those are all things that are important to make a successful event or a long-term relationship be successful.
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of, I suppose it's having courage and the presence of mind to realize that you can set certain time boundaries as well within certain scenarios. And and one of the things I was thinking about as you were talking about the being hosted by your guests or your hosts, better way of putting it. It's like if you go to a buffet kind of networking thing, the buffet is not the main thing. The free bar is not the main thing. The main thing is connecting, reaching people. Yeah, and it's just keeping that balance of priorities, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so easy to get caught off guard. Who doesn't want to have fun, when there's lots of beautiful food going around and lots of nice drinks going around and entertainment going around? I mean, that's the purpose, is to create those relationships. But at the same time, you need to be able to understand why you're really there and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Yeah. So we learned that that's one, and we learned that by watching. Of course, we weren't part of the negotiations at all, but being able to step aside and watch what was going on was very enlightening.
And because we've done so many corporate events, we understand the outset and what everything is supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So as Dina said, because we worked with the clients before and during the event and after, sometimes I might have to help them understand production. Maybe their audio visual could be a hindrance to the entertainment stage that's going to happen. Is the podium in front of where Dina's going to be, or the guitar setup, or things like that? Do you want them tripping over those cables? You're trying to make sure that it's a safe environment, it's a successful environment, and the best part is that when they're at the event, they're able to sit down and enjoy it, and it's turnkey. And afterwards, we're always following up to find out if there's anything that we could have done better. Did they see anything that maybe didn't catch our eye?
What did they like?
What did they
like?
What
worked for them?
Right.
Basically just feedback. And that's our business, but for anybody's business, just share your information, share your knowledge. Knowledge is powerful. My plumber came the other day and was trying to show me that he needed to fix something, but I didn't understand why. And so he went into detail on what needed to be fixed, why it needed to be fixed, and what would happen if I didn't fix it. And I went, okay, I get it. Yeah, please, right?
Yeah. Fix that.
Yeah. No, it's important, isn't it? Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's something as entrepreneurs really that doesn't cost us money. That's something that we absolutely can give as a value to our clients. That's top-notch type of customer service and customer care. Yeah,
valuing people, isn't it? Looking after people. Yeah,
that's what we do. That's our job. Our clients can go anywhere they want. There is so many choices for them in terms of live entertainment. It's above and beyond the product, which has to be excellent. Don't get me wrong. But on top of that, I want them to come to us because they feel comfortable with us. We're turnkey. They can trust us. It's a matter of building trust.
And we're going to provide an experience.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's about. It's an experience that they can walk away with. I always say, it's what you take away from the event that makes it an event.
It's how you made them feel, right? Not what you said, how you made them feel. What is it that they learned? How did you make them feel during that process?
Yeah, this is powerful. Well done. Thank you. The time is kind of running away from us, but let's dig a little bit into your book a little bit more. I know you've kind of touched on elements of it, but tell us a bit more about the book.
Well, Don came to me after we started doing keynote speaking. He's like, Dina, we should write a book about our experiences, and then couple it with business education. And I looked at him and I said, Don, no one wants to hear about what we've experienced. And he's like, no, we've been a part of history. I mean, literally, we have flown into Charles de Gaulle while the shoe bomber is flying out. We have been lost in Afghanistan. We have been lost in Singapore. We've been on the Orient Express. I turned 40 on the Orient Express going to Moscow. And of course, our Russian experience.
Yeah. We've been to Egypt a couple times. We've been to Saudi Arabia. To Oman. We've been to Iceland, England. We've performed all over the UK a couple of times. And it just seemed that the journeys that we were taking as two ordinary people, we're not Beyonce, we're not a big record deal music group, but somehow we've been able to do business and be a part of history and still make a living doing it continuously.
And lived a really extraordinary life. And so something clicked in my brain a couple of years ago, and I went, I think he's right. I think we should share this. And so that's how we actually wrote 31 Cents to 43 Countries. It's done really well. It was a #1 release on Amazon in June, I believe, in June, and it won the Outstanding Nonfiction from the IAN Association.
Independent Authors Network.
Yeah, and it won the #1 book last year for business, sales, and economics. So.
And then we were also top 20 artists of 2020 in the Music Observer. So we really had an unbelievable year. And of course, the book, takes you through our journeys. And then at the end of each chapter, we also have takeaways that you can actually utilize towards your business or your entrepreneurship today.
The learning is actually encased in stories. We're storytellers, we're musicians, we're songwriters, so we tell stories. And so the feedback has been that people really appreciate that it's story bound, story based. And then the takeaways, which are in the stories, again, reiterate hardcore tips for increasing profits after each chapter. So they're easy for people to take away.
And we even are talking to some movie producers about a mini series or a docu-series about our journeys. So you never know where this could lead if any of your listeners are part of Netflix or anything.
Absolutely. As you were telling me about the book, I was thinking, man, this would be really good on telly. This is yeah.
It's really about two ordinary people doing extraordinary things. We're not famous, but we have written a book that everybody can enjoy the journeys. And then, of course, the music goes along with it with those that like the audiobook. And you can find it on Amazon, by the way.
We are no different from your listeners. We are your listeners. We are just very normal, everyday people, and yet with a little willpower and a little focus, we've been able to do really wonderful.
And they can end up with a beautiful product.
Oh yeah, there we go.
I know you've been reading it and getting through, so we love to always hear your feedback, of course, and your reviews as well.
Yeah, we love it when people reach out to us. So hopefully, your listeners will do that as well.
Definitely. Yeah. So how best can people kind of touch base with you? I guess they can get the book on Amazon, maybe. Is that the best place? Or
It is. And of course, you can reach us also on Don and Dina Ortiz on LinkedIn. And then we have our speaking website is deospeaks.com. And then our Dina Preston Band website is dinaprestonband.com, DINAPRESTON band.com. And then, of course, we're on all your music platforms. So anything that you like, you can ask Siri or Alexa to play the Dina Preston Band, or Pandora or iTunes. We're out there, or SoundCloud, you name it, we're out there.
And I teach all the time. I teach business. I teach at the graduate level and the undergraduate level at universities and colleges here in the U.S. So if anybody has questions, they're not sure about something, they want to ask me about a theory, I'm more than happy to help anybody who wants to send us a message. Any way we can. We're here to serve, and we believe in service. So whatever we can do to support any entrepreneur innovator out there, feel free to contact us.
Exactly. It's all about inspiration and communicating a big network together.
Yeah. And if I don't know, I'll send you to somebody that does.
That's right.
Sounds good to me. Yes, definitely. I think I know what you're saying about you are ordinary people in some ways, but you are actually an extraordinary couple. I think just from listening to, your escapades and your journey so far, you're still alive, though you've been in war zones of different places.
We're still married.
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about time really has gone for today, but I was thinking it'd be so good to delve into kind of the relational aspect of your marriage. Sure. Both of you guys kind of working together, being so close to each other so much.
You bet.
And yet it works by the look of it.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So I think
both very well-driven folks,
Well, and Trevor, I think Don and I respect each other, and we have respect for each other outside the marriage. I respect him as a musician, and I respect him as a business professional. And so I think it's a respect, even when we might be arguing as husband and wife, which we're normal people. Of course we argue, right? Yeah. We don't always see eye to eye on things. But it's that respect, even more so than the love. It's the respect that will get us through that. And at least that's my perspective. That's my perspective. But you like to laugh.
I love that.
He's the only person that can ever make me laugh. He really, because I'm serious all the time. He makes me laugh.
That's why I'm the storyteller. I like to tell the story, really get you involved, and then, dangle you so it's suspense.
You got a good sense of humor too.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So do you write all the songs, or is it kind of a mix?
We do
both. But
we do both.
we're big on sharing and collaborating, especially with talent, because we've learned through the years, the more talent you have in the pool, right? You've got 4 or 5 people that are writing the song or on stage. I mean, as musicians with a successful band, we have to collaborate.
Yeah.
I mean, the bass player has to work with the guitar player, who has to work with the drummer, and the singer has to work with all of them. So,
yeah, and for us, like our the last song that we wrote before finishing up the album was "Give My Broken Heart a Break,"
mm-hmm.
and we wrote that with Rockin' Reggie Vision, who actually wrote $1 Billion Babies with Alice Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
And so collaboration with somebody like him, he played with Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, Lennon.
Played bass, I believe.
It's really amazing. And then here we end up being really good friends in songwriting together, and then having that come out and making music videos together. It's a lot of fun.
I'll tell you, small business owners too. It's so much fun to collaborate with other small business owners because you get that support. And you get ideas, and they might think in a totally different way than you do, which is so important. Sometimes those are the avenues you need to go in a different direction. So we're big on collaboration.
Yeah, and it can inspire you into a new direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You're creating a new aha moment. You never know. And ping-ponging with other folks and finding that positivity, to me, is everything.
So we write with the same folks. We write with different folks. We write with each other. So, yeah.
That's really good. Yeah, it's really good. I think, if we don't, our worlds get very small, don't they? If we don't allow other people to kind of have input or collaborate with, and we don't reach out to them. So,
it's really important. And we've known that as a result of COVID, right? Because we've been so locked in our homes.
Yeah.
We use technology to reach out to others and do the best you can until, the world opens up again, which I hope is soon.
Which is why we're meeting with me today.
Absolutely, yes. Even if it's X amount of months, years, we're still in this. We'll still do something. We'll
be family. You can guarantee that.
You bet.
Yeah. Thank you again for sharing everything you shared with us. We're going to have to wrap it up there just for time, but yes, please come back and talk to us. That would be
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
And your listeners out there, like Dina said, if you need to reach out to us, please do.
We'll do whatever we can to help any of them.
Yep.
Sounds good. So for everybody listening, you must be inspired by now. There's lots of different things you could take away from that. Even if you just pick 1 or 2 things from what we've shared today, just grab it and run with it. Do something with it that brings it alive, keeps it alive in your business, in your life, to move forward. Stay proactive. Whatever you're facing at the moment, you can definitely overcome it. Reach out to Dina and Don. Get some help. Follow them. Check out their music as well. It all sounds really good. Hit YouTube or wherever. There'll be a link to the website below, so you can follow through and find out more about them that way. And until they come back, this is Trevor, this is Dina, and this is Don signing off for now. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Trevor.
Stay healthy, safe, and success to everybody.
Yeah, success to everybody. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you.
Giving you all big hugs.
Thank you for listening to Yeukai Business Show. We will be back to bring you more episodes with success stories and advice straight from the experts. Want more? Check out www.yeukaibusinessshow.com. Get your free trial of our virtual assistant service today. Just visit www.worldoutsourcingsolutions.com. Quote WOS18 or send us an email at support@worldoutsourcingsolutions.com.